Welcome back to our data discovery series. You are watching Module 2, Search Strategy. In this module, we will focus on understanding how to use a search strategy for effective data finding. Similar to the process of effectively searching for literature, having a search strategy to find data is important. The 4 steps of the search strategy for data are as follows. First, define your area of study and research question. Second, determine the data producers of your topic or discipline and explore their resources. Next, narrow down resources and evaluate how well they meet your research question. Lastly, critique the dataset and the producers. In step 1, we want to define our area of study and our research question, just like we do when searching for traditional literature. We want to define our concept keywords. We also want to think about the time period, geography, and any specific variables and data format we need or prefer. In step 2, we want to determine what data is out there. It is important to explore the data resources that exist quite early in your research process. Sometimes the exact data you need might not exist, particularly if it's a new or niche area of study. It costs money to collect, preserve, and distribute data. Thankfully, many times there is existing and relevant data, and it is a matter of searching and finding it. A good rule of thumb is to think about who would be interested in producing and sharing that data. For example, there may be governing bodies, nonprofit organizations, or researchers who might be producing data on your topic and discipline. Module 3 will go more in depth on how to determine data producers and other starting points for exploration. In step 3, you can narrow down your resources and evaluate how well they meet your research question. There might not be that special unicorn dataset, the more specialized and complex you go. We will explain this step in more detail in Module 4. When you do find a dataset that is of interest to you, it is always important to critique and assess the dataset. It's important to understand the purpose of the data, determine if there are biases in the data, and answer pertinent questions related to methodology before you use it in your own research. Module 5 will provide more details on how to critique data products. Search strategy is a naturally cyclical process. At any point in your searching, you might find yourself wanting to repeat it, determine new data producers, or find other resources, and that is completely normal. There might be a time when you have exhausted your knowledge of data producers, and at this point, you might want to reach out to York University Library's Data Services team for additional support. To illustrate this search strategy, let us use an example. Remember this topic as we'll be using it again in Module 3 and 4. For step 1, let's say we define our research question as what is the impact of housing costs on racialized populations in urban areas in Ontario? More specifically, to quantify the data, we might be curious to know how much income is spent on rent, and how has it changed in the past 10 years? Our key concepts are thus housing costs, with our defined population of interest as racialized populations, and more specifically geographically, urban areas in Ontario. We also want to think of specific variables like income, rent costs, and the time span of the 2010s to the present.